will hand it over to our session host, Pam Wilbur.
Hello, everyone. As Rudy said, I'm Pam Wilbur. This is the Fostering Brave Spaces for More Speaking and Mutual Learning workshop. Just a reminder, as Rudy mentioned, today's session will be recorded and all session materials will be made available within 1 week of the workshop. If you're experiencing any difficulty seeing, hearing, or accessing the presentation or presentation features, please private message Rudy Jung using the chat box. If you have any comments or questions today, they're going to be taken at the end of in the last 10 minutes of the workshop. You can add your questions to the chat or use the raise hand feature that's located under the reactions icon at the bottom of your screen. At the end of the session, you'll be asked to complete a 1-minute survey, just like in the previous session. Please stay around and answer the survey. It helps MCAEL a great deal. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Lee Shainis to all of you. Lee Shainis is the co-founded the nonprofit Intercambio and was the executive director for 20 years. He helped the organization connect 15,000 people in Boulder County, Colorado, through English classes and established a national network of several hundred organizations. He has led over 100 cultural humility trainings, published articles about shifting power imbalances in adult education, and led over 100 workshops for educators and administrators nationwide. And I also just learned that he grew up in Montgomery County, which I did not know, although he's now in the beautiful state of Colorado. So I'd like to turn the meeting over to Lee. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Pam, and thanks, Rudy, and thanks everyone at MCAEL for having me. And thank you all for taking a Saturday afternoon to be here. So I'm honored and excited to go over this workshop with you. I am going to do a breakout room kind of in the middle and get everyone talking. So be ready for that. I hope when I put you into breakout rooms, everyone can turn their cameras on. You don't need your camera on for now, although I do love to see faces. So I'll introduce myself a little bit more, but let's get started here. Okay, people can see my screen. Yes. All right, so fostering brave spaces for more speaking and mutual learning. I love doing this workshop and I learn a little bit more every time when people share. So at the end, I also want people to share kind of something they're walking away with. So be thinking about that. Okay, so I want to start with this poem about brave space. So together we will create brave space because there is no such thing as a safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars and we have all caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume of the outside world. We amplify voices that fight to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to more truth and love. We have the right to start somewhere and continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. We will not be perfect. The space will not be perfect. It will not always be what we wish it to be, but it will be our voices together, and just so I like that. I just start with that because we used to talk about safe spaces, but here it clearly says there's no such thing as a safe space, but we want to create as safe spaces as possible, but really it's about creating brave spaces. So the agenda is I'm gonna quickly just run through complexities of our work because a lot of times we don't talk about that enough. We don't talk about the barriers in our world of adult education. There's a lot of challenges with retention, and there's a lot of reasons for those challenges. So we'll go over those real quick. I'll talk about cultural humility, which, as you heard, is something I'm really passionate about, and that's a whole separate training, but we're just gonna touch on that real quick and how that leads to what we call multi-directional learning instead of one-way learning. We'll talk about how to get students talking about their stories and perspectives and sharing. How do we create those brave and welcoming environments as teachers, whether we're teaching online or in person? And then I wanted to share one quick thing we've done here to engage the broader community, which has been really simple and very powerful to get our students talking with community members. And then hopefully get you thinking about one next step that you want to take. But first, who am I and what am I doing here? So I'm Lee. I co-founded Intercambio, and I love this work. I'm very passionate about bringing together people from different cultures to talk to each other, to learn from each other. And what Intercambio does is we create supportive programs and partnerships where people are building relationships through English classes and gatherings. And we provide curriculum and training that really promote conversations where all participants learn from each other's perspectives and experiences. And it's all about building skills and confidence. So that's why we do this work. That's a little bit about what Intercambio is about. We develop all these tools. I know some of you might have seen these tools or used these tools. We wrote the Immigrant Guide, a pronunciation book, and then the full confidence and connections curriculum, which I'll allude to in some of these slides here. So first, who participates in our programs? It's people from a lot of different backgrounds, different nationalities, ages, socioeconomic statuses, races, academic backgrounds. There are very few places in society where you see the diversity that we do in adult language programs, which is a beautiful thing and something I love. And there's a lot of challenges that come with that as well. So there's a lot of the common challenges that we talk about, like time and money and transportation and childcare. But the less common challenges that are very important, but infrequently talked about are confidence and low self-esteem. A lot of our students come in to our programs not like, yeah, I'm going to learn English. This is going to be fun and I'm going to do it. It's like, I don't think I can do this, but I really need to do this. So here I am. A lot of people fear failure. So we did surveys in our community and asked people, why are you not taking English classes? And it wasn't transportation or cost or childcare. It was, I'm afraid of making mistakes and failing at this. So that's important for us to know. Cultural differences, again, are beautiful things, but also create challenges. It can lead to people feeling judged or stupid if they say something that, is received wrong by the teacher or another student. And a lot of times people don't feel like they belong in their English classes. So if they don't feel belonging, if they feel like they're being judged, boom, they're going to be out of there. And they're going to tell us that, oh, I changed my job and I can't come back to English class, right? So what is culture? We're going to get into culture a little bit. So culture is religion, food, what we wear, how we wear it, our language, marriage, music, what we believe is right or wrong, how we sit at the table, how we greet visitors, how we behave with loved ones, and a million other things, right? A lot of times we go to a cultural festival and we see the music and the food and the dance, the stuff above the surface, like the iceberg. But culture is a lot of other stuff, and we don't have answers to all that stuff. We bring a lot of dimensions to our individual culture, right? So some of these things are things we're born with, like our age, our race, our gender, physical ability, ethnicity, those things. And then there's other things like our socioeconomic status, our income, our political affiliation, where we grew up. All of these things impact who we are as individuals. It's not just one thing on here. A lot of times as humans, it's easy for us to just put people into one of these boxes, but we're all a part of many of these things. And all of these things also impact our personality. So we have unique personalities, but at the same time, personality and culture are not two separate things. So I also encourage people to look at this and think about, where do my privileges lie in these dimensions, right? So as a white man, I've got some privileges with my gender, with my race. I have privileges in several of these areas, and so on. So that's something that I do in a longer training, is give people a chance to reflect on that. But this is just to show you a lot of the dimensions that we're part of. All right, now I want you to answer these questions with me. If you agree with the following statement, I want you to stand up and do a dance, or just raise your hand. Okay. If you disagree with the following statement, just keep your hand down. You can do this with your virtual hand or your actual hand, either one, whatever you like better. Okay, so, and I want you to respond to these very quickly. Don't overthink it. Just if you agree, boom, hand up, disagree, hand down, or do a dance, like I said. Okay, it's okay to ask people you meet, what do you do for work? Agree, disagree? All right, see some hands up. Number 2, all meetings should start and end on time. Hand up, hand down. All right, lots of hands up for that one. It is rude to interrupt someone while they are talking. What do you think? Agree, disagree? One invitation is a real invitation. So for example, if I want some ice cream and someone offers me ice cream, I will accept that first invitation, or I will wait for a second or third offer for ice cream. I always accept the first offer for ice cream. All right. It is polite to say thank you if someone opens a door for me, like at the store or somewhere like that. All right, excellent. Saying hi to strangers is important for the community. Agree, disagree? All right, lots of hands up for that one. Making direct eye contact shows that you are paying attention. In your world, is that the case? And final one, if I am late for a class, we're talking about in-person classes, I will enter the class quietly. Okay. All right, so in my longer cultural humility training, I will break down each of these for like a half hour almost. We can dissect these for forever. These are all very meaty cultural differences. That last one I'll talk about briefly. If I'm late for a class, I will enter the class quietly, because in our world, I've heard many teachers say, oh, it's so frustrating when my students come in late and then they don't just sit down quietly at their desks. They will greet each student individually and disrupt the class before they go and sit at their desk. And that is an example of all of these where the teacher has this lens, right, of what they consider polite and the right thing to do. And students often come with the exact opposite lens of what's the correct and polite thing to do, right? The polite thing to do for them is not to ignore their peers, it's to acknowledge their peers. And that takes precedence over, a quick disruption to the class. So all of these have, whatever your answer was, whether it was agree or disagree, it's not right or wrong, but there are millions or billions of people with the exact opposite response. And it's important for us to recognize that and understand that our response is our response, and it comes from our deep-rooted cultural values and those things on the dimensions chart. And they're not necessarily right or wrong, just different. So I'm going to put you into small groups right now and have this conversation, which I've had with my staff, and it's been real interesting. A lot of times we hear, teachers will say, what's this like in your culture, right? We're talking about eye contact or saying hi to strangers or making interruptions. When we say, what's that like in your culture? How does it feel to you if people ask you, what's it like in your culture? What does your culture mean to you? And do you feel like you represent a group of people, nationality, race, gender, age, etc.? Why or why not? Okay, so I am going to put these in the chat, these questions here. So you have them when I put you into breakout rooms. And if everyone can turn their camera on, there are no right or wrong answers here. So some people, love answering that question. What's that like in your culture? Some people are confused by it. Have the conversation. Okay. What does that mean to you? How does that feel? Do you feel like you represent a group? Why or why not? Okay. Does everyone have that? You all ready? I'm going to put you into groups of 3 to 4. Okay. Actually, let's see. All right. Is everybody ready? I'm going to give you just like 5 minutes. Okay. So if everyone can share for about a minute. All right. Everyone ready? Thumbs up. Good. All right. And when you come back, I'd love to have you chat something that came up for you in the group, something you heard or a theme that emerged or something that, was sparked for you. Okay, great. I'm going to put you in the groups right now. Enjoy each other. All right. You good? Carmen, do you see Carmen and Peter, do you see an invitation to join a group? Oh, there you go.
Peter, do you see a place, an invitation to join a group?
Let's see if I move you to a different group of that.
Okay.
You see an invitation now, Peter?
I'm sorry, you're muted at the moment, Peter.
Hey, Rudy, do you want to pause the recording while we do the breakouts or?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Do you hear me now?
Yes, now we hear you.
Yeah, I've not, I might,
Yeah. And welcome back, everyone. All right. How were those conversations? Good.
They were good.
Interesting.
Interesting. Good. That's what we like. We like interesting. I would
Well
love to
matched.
take an hour to hear what came up in all these groups, but we got to keep moving on. If you have something that you want to share in the chat, please do share that. But we are going to move on here. And yeah, while I share my screen, if you want to share something from the chat, go right ahead. So again, there's no right or wrong answers to those questions. And I imagine there was very different perspectives on how we answer that question as individuals. So yeah, so good. All right, let's keep moving on here. I'm going to talk about the difference between cultural competence and cultural humility real quick. So cultural competence is a term that has been around forever in the cultural training world, and it's kind of what I used to train on. It's about skills and values and principles that allow us to interact with people from different cultural groups. It's a good thing. However, in many frequently used competency measures, whiteness is understood and represented as the norm. And a lot of times in our world, I hear the word assimilation by well-meaning people say, oh, intercambio, you're teaching people to assimilate, right? Assimilation, that word has a lot of racist and negative history. So anytime we say that a racial group or English learners or fill in the blank should be more like our racial group or to be more American, which is code for white American, we're articulating an assimilationist idea. So this is not about assimilation. And this title about mutual learning is kind of the opposite of assimilation. Assimilation is one way with learning. You're new to our country and you have to adapt to our ways, as opposed to let's learn about each other's ways. And the goal of cultural competency sounds ideal, but it's really not realistic. We can't learn everything we need to know about every different cultural group. So we need to just be okay with that. We're always trying to learn more, but we're not going to learn it all. So I've come to love this term cultural humility. Some of you, I'm sure, have heard of it and studied it. Some might be hearing it for the first time. It's about continuously reflecting on your biases and how you treat and understand others. It's being aware of power imbalances. So in adult education, there is a power imbalance between teacher and student. So we must be aware of those. It's recognizing that different cultures aren't superior or inferior. And we'll talk about this when we talk about conversations, is listening to our students without taking a judgment, without taking a stance on what's right or wrong or rude or polite. So we go back to that example of entering a class late, right? We might say, oh, and for me, it's rude to do that, as opposed to just saying, this is how I was brought up. How are, you were clearly brought up differently. Let's talk about that. It's about curiosity and ongoing learning. And it's about having open and honest dialogues, which is something that English classes, again, create rare opportunities to have these open and honest dialogues. We don't talk about this stuff outside of English class walls with people from different countries and different language backgrounds. These are rare opportunities, so we have to take advantage. And being open about what we haven't learned yet. That's another piece of cultural humility. So competency is a goal, humility is a mindset. So what happens if helping and learning is multi-directional? So we talk about these classroom environments where students and teachers are learning from each other by sharing their perspectives and experiences. It's not just the teacher saying, here's what you need to know about life here, but it's opening the doors for students to share their history, their experiences, their perspectives. Think about those eight examples, the agree, disagree. Have them share their perspectives on those types of things. We want teachers to become learners and students to become teachers. And the best teachers are the best learners, not saviors, right? We don't want people coming into our program saying, I just really want to help these poor immigrants, right? Our best teachers are the ones who say, I'm learning more from my students than I think they're learning from me. And that's a beautiful thing to hear. So, and when we create these environments, it's critical to language acquisition as well. So when we tap into topics that are interesting and relevant to our students' lives, they speak more. And when they speak more, they acquire the language faster, right? So if you just do a role play, it has a very limited walls of things that role play might evolve into, as opposed to open-ended questions about what was your first job and how was it? And what was your experience, with your kids at school here? How is that different, in your native country? These questions are very open and they're going to want to share, as opposed to just let's practice this sample dialogue of returning something at a store. That's also important, but that doesn't really spark the kinds of conversations that lead to these different experiences and perspectives. And also, when it's in a book, it feels safer, right? So it can be hard for teachers to bring up topics about, different cultural stuff. But when it's in a book, it's okay. The students understand this is part of my language learning process. It's in this book, okay? And that makes it easier for the teachers to bring up stuff. Some teachers are very comfortable bringing up these topics on their own. For some, they'll only do it and even think about it if it's in a book. Whoops, where am I? There we go. And it's also important to have them ask you questions for a couple of reasons. One, it humanizes you as a teacher. Two, it gives students practice asking questions, right? Half of communication is answering questions, half is asking questions. And then it also gives teachers the opportunity to model cultural humility and to respond and to start the conversation. So again, in the cultural humility training, we'll get into this with examples, but here it's just a matter of, the teacher saying, basically modeling, look, this isn't inferior or superior. This is how I was brought up. This is my perspective, but I'm very open to different perspectives. What is your perspective? Tell me more about that. What's your experience been with X here in the US? And then we also talk about building up to the conversation. So we don't start a class with just getting right to the conversation. We work on the skills, the pronunciation, the vocab, the reading, the writing, and then also create that positive learning space and make it relevant and personal. And how we offer corrections is really important, and all these other things, and the patience. This is another tool that we have that's pretty good at like sparking conversations about differences, because it talks about things like laws and rights and norms and jobs, and easy to kind of present a topic and say, this is typically how it is in the US, not better or worse. How is it different where you come from? And what's your perspective on this? What are your experiences with this? All right, and then next, so how do we create these judgment-free zones in our classes? Because it can be scary for students to share their perspectives and their life. So one thing is to set expectations at the beginning of class to make class feel safer, not completely safe, but safer. So what are some of these expectations? One is always let them opt out of sharing, right? So if you're talking about something like family, a lot of people are comfortable talking about family. Some people don't want to talk about family. So give that opportunity to opt out at the beginning. Let them know what the topic is. Encourage them to take risks and speak without the fear of making mistakes. Okay, I like to talk about this at the beginning of every class, right? I will take risks, I will make mistakes, I will practice, right? Some kind of mantra like that. And I'm going to ask you what your mantra is. Be interested in people's stories and in the differences. Don't judge. We talked about that. And build trust before discussing potentially divisive topics. So if you're just starting a new semester with a new group, you might want to talk about something lighter like food before you get into stuff that might be a little bit more, profound, and have fun. So again, I love these mantras, like starting and ending every class with like 3 things. So some things we've learned in the past is I can learn, I will practice, no excuses. Some teachers use that one. Some are focused on like, I will make mistakes, no fear, anything. So if you have a mantra that you use pretty frequently, please share that, because those can be game changing and really create that atmosphere that we're trying to create to get people talking. This is something that I saw in a book called The Culture Code, which I like. It's about belonging. And it has 3 elements of belonging. So one is preparation. When our students see that we're prepared, they see that we're invested in this exchange. Individualization, we know them, we know their lives, we know their names and things like that. And then this is the one that's not always obvious, is this future orientation, letting them know that we are with them on this journey for the next year or for the next semester or whatever it is. Good. So, all right. And I see one mantra on there: make mistakes. It's good for your learning. I love it. Again, because making mistakes is the biggest thing that prevents people from coming and joining and staying. So anything to encourage making mistakes. All right. Next is the actual space. So whether you're teaching in person or online, this is very important. So prepare your space ahead of time. And I feel really strongly about being able to see each other's faces. So if you're in person, a half circle, a full circle, something where you can see each other's faces instead of each other's backs, does not create a sense of belonging. And then for online, making sure that you can see people's faces, take a little bit of time to guide your students through lighting issues so that, if they're like my aunts who always talk to me like this on FaceTime, take an extra second to let them know that, I can't see your face. So I want to see your face. I want to see your mouth. And actually, when we're teaching pronunciation and when they can, it's very important now for them to be able to see their mouth and for them to see your mouth. So make sure that those images are really clear. And then finally, I wanted to share about this thing that we've done called community conversations, which we started a couple years ago. And in the middle of every term of our group classes, we invite community volunteers to practice English conversation with our students. We give a 30-minute orientation to the volunteers, and then they come to a class for an hour. So we say, all right, Linda, you're going to the level 2 class. And they will go to the class, whether it's in person or online, and the teacher will pair that volunteer up with a student or 2 students or 3 students, depending on the ratio. And they will have a 15 to 20-minute conversation. And then speed dating style, they'll switch and then talk to another student for 15 or 20 minutes and then talk to another student. And it's just this simple, beautiful thing that is really great for students' confidence and story sharing. And it's amazing how much you can learn from somebody in a 15 to 20-minute conversation, especially when it's one-on-one or one-on-two. So that's a beautiful thing that we've been doing, and happy to share that model with folks as well. So I want to take some time now to, how are we doing on time? All right, we're actually okay on time. So I just threw a lot at you right now. And I also have our own feedback form here. So I think you have feedback from MCAEL, and then we have another just quick intercambio feedback form. If you want a copy of this presentation, you can fill that out. And I want to hear from some people, some questions or one thing that you would like to implement in your program, in your class after hearing this. So I'm going to stop the share. And then after that, I know Rudy has some, Rudy and Pam have some wrap up business, but I've just thrown a lot at you. Does anyone have any questions or something that you're
Yes.
taking away from this?
This is Rudy. Roberta had her hand up.
Yes, Roberta. And while other people are asking questions, feel free to write something in the chat that you would like to take away or try from this quick workshop. So Roberta, you're off mute now. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I encourage making mistakes because that's when they're engaged, and when they're engaged, they learn. I also try to stress that the teacher's not teaching them. Hispanics say, "Oh, teacher," and it's like I'm up on a pedestal and they're adoring an idol. And I try to sit with them, be informal, and I let them know that I can show them. It's like showing them a book, and then they have to take it in and they have to train their brain. Their brain is the one. I try to explain how the linkages between listening and speaking and reading and writing all work together, but it only gets synced when they do it, like riding a bike. You have to do it to learn it.
Yep. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Other questions or things that you would like to try? I'd love to see some stuff in the chat about something you're taking away from this, or you can share it verbally.
I think
Cindy.
okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Cindy.
I just had a question about the immigrant guide. Do you offer that online? So if
We
you're
do,
doing
yeah.
it
Yeah, that's
online-
available. That's available digitally or in print copies. And
Okay.
I'm excited. We're working on Dari and Pashto versions of that right now for Afghan
Okay.
refugees.
And then my second follow-up is, how do I get that? How do I?
You can go to our website.
Okay,
I'll write that in the chat. It's just intercambio.org.
okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Awesome. And Alakoye, is that how you pronounce your name? Yeah, great. You want to try the community conversations? Good. I love those. I love participating in those too. It's so fun just to talk to our students and get to know them. So great. Lydia said, creating a space where students can express their ideas and opinions in class. Yeah, and you can also contact me for more information about the community conversations if you're interested in trying that. I'll write my email in the chat here.
I have a comment to do. I
Yes.
think it's important that the teachers share their personal success. How do you start, and give them the steps, so because they kind of can copy you somehow. Like, for example, in my class, in my level 3, I'm from Colombia, so we talk about news, and we talk about Diana Trujillo that went to Mars with the rover, and
Cool.
how did she start it. And I told them, you can do the way she did this, you can do this too. So you just need to work hard. And they love the story, and I think, and they participate a lot. So it's important. And also it's important that when you share your story, they can share their own and they feel more comfortable. So you have to bring them to a level where they are comfortable talking and they want to express themselves. Sometimes when I know some classes are more active than others. When I send them to the breakout rooms and I want to check, they're blah, blah, they're talking a lot. So I love that. So it's
great.
important.
Yeah. Yep. Great. Speaking of that, I think I might do one just quick breakout room to discuss something that you want to take away and try, since we do have a couple minutes. So I'm going to put you
Yes.
back in your breakout rooms just for 3 minutes, and you can share with each other something that is emerging for you or something you want to try, a question that you still have. So let's go ahead and do that. You all like your first breakout room? All right, good. We'll stick with that. Cool. See you back here in 3 minutes.
Right, join for the breakout room. Join, right?
Yeah.
How was your conversation?
It was great, and I'm really it's really funny to hear from Molongo, where he said that when he asked his students to speak, they will write. When he asked his students to write, and then they will speak. It's like, it's a pretty interesting thing. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Nice. Nice. Cool. Welcome back, everyone. How was that? Good. All
Very
right.
good. Yeah, very good.
Excellent.
Too short.
I know, it's always too short.
New friends.
New friends, I know, that's what I love about this.
Peter? Okafor,
Yes,
Are you from
yes.
CCDC? Are you with CCDC?
No, you,
I
you
think
want
you
to know
mentioned
where
something.
I work?
Yes.
Okay, I am helping
Sorry.
what do you call it? Family Services Incorporation, which has been taken over by Shepard Pratt.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm doing part-time teaching with them.
Great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Good.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. If anyone again wants to share in the chat something that came up for you in the small groups, that's one of the ways we learn is from each other. So feel free to share that. And then, any
We
other?
also have a time for a question or two.
Okay, great. Yeah. Another question or a thought or something that emerged for you, something you want to try?
Lee and
Yes.
everybody. Hi, this is Amoke. One of my partners in the breakout room had a great suggestion. We were trying to think about the logistics of getting folks to come to help with the community conversations. And she was talking about being at a site where you might not have that resource. And she suggested using the older children that might be at that facility. And that's, like a fifth grader to come in and have a conversation in a beginning English class with another person. And that was a great idea, I thought.
Yeah, cool. Nice. I like that. Other ideas or anything that came up? And then Diana had an important comment to talk to students about not judging other students. So a lot of times the judging doesn't always come from the teacher, it comes from the peers. So yeah, so creating that,
Yeah.
whether that's part of the mantra or something you talk about as an expectation that, all opinions are good opinions here, or there are no such thing as bad, blah, 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 whatever, coming up with something. Cool. And then Lydia, again, our website, you can find all that stuff on our website. So for the books and the newsletters and all that. So thanks for that. I'll put it in there again. Another question or thought?
Well, Lee, for the chat with the parents, the high schoolers have volunteer hours they have to fulfill. And that would be, I think, better than the younger kids because you can prep them and help them and maybe open up their eyes to something special too. Yeah, it could work with high school. Definitely want to do the training, especially with kids. It's important with adults also, but with kids, even the training is even more important probably. So we've had no problem recruiting just adults in our community to those. We actually have to turn people away. And we have 80 spaces every semester. So it's a pretty easy volunteer commitment if you're interested in that. Annie, did you have something?
Yes, I always encourage my instructors to have some sort of a parking lot or virtual board where students and teachers as well, they are free and feel safe to not only ask questions or share stories, but a lot of time we forget about achievement, saying, I found a new job, I just got a raise, things like that. It really helps boost that confidence as well as the self-esteem. Right.
Nice. I love that. Yeah. I talk about encouragement a lot and anything to celebrate success or where you can give concrete encouragement as a teacher to say, oh, you pronounce your TH sound so much better now, or wow, you're really speaking in the past tense, or you got a better job. Amazing. Let's all celebrate that. So yeah, anything that all creates that sense of belonging also. So I think I'll pass it back to Rudy and just say thank you again for joining us, for being interested in this topic. It's a very, I think it's an important topic for adult education. It's great to see more people interested in it. So thank you again for doing this work. Reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. And thank you, MCAEL, again. MCAEL has done an amazing job with this conference. Really, I've presented at a lot of conferences and I've never gone through a the presentation with organizers and gotten feedback and suggestions. And so that was really, really cool. So you all are lucky to be a part of MCAEL. They're
Thank
great.
you.
Well, thank you so much, Lee, for those kind words. And I hate to bring this wonderful discussion to an end, but we are at our time. I just wanted to point out, I did put a link to the evaluation form for this session in the chat. It does take you to SurveyMonkey, but it is a MCAEL survey. It should only take you a couple of minutes, if that, to fill it out. You just have to choose which workshop you attended at the first question there. So we are going to lunch after this. We have a short break of about 20 minutes. And when we come back, we will have our keynote speaker presentation, C. Marie Taylor. So once again, thank you so much, Lee, for joining us today and for a wonderful workshop. And thank you, everybody, for attending. And thank you to Pam as our session host today. Yay.
Celebrate.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. I will wait for a moment while people go out before I close, if anybody needs the links still. Oh, let me drop the Coalition Room link where we'll be after this.
Okay.
I'll stick around for a minute if people have other specific questions.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Rudy, where's the survey? I don't see it. Do you place the
Okay.
survey?
Let me
it
link,
tells me I've
put that
already
in there
taken it.
again.
It
Let me
says that
put it
I
in
already-
again because I know there's been a lot of chats in there. So
It told me I had already participated in the survey.
Yeah.
oh, really? Oh, we didn't take that into account. That's probably because we use the same form for the first survey. So first session. Okay. Thank you for that feedback. I'll let Tiffany know.
Yeah, it didn't work actually. It got us to
Sorry.
He gets 11
Yes,
over
we'll
10.
create a new link for the next session.
Rudy, he gets 11 over 10.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, definitely.
Thanks,
I agree.
Yeah, he's good.
Thanks, Linda.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Lydia.
You're welcome.
A great presentation. Good luck with everything and come back to Montgomery
Gracias.
County.
Gracias, Diana. Mi esposa es de Colombia.
Ah, great country.
Yeah.
The tamales, empanadas.
Sí, ajiaco, sancocho.
Oh, you're
Oh,
making me
sancocho.
hungry now.
I know. Where are you from? What part of Colombia?
Cali.
Oh yeah, that's where she's from.
Oh, okay. She dances salsa.
Of course, she was born
Ah.
dancing salsa.
Okay, good
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Is your sancocho a broth with yuca and peas and red onions? Pickled red onions.
She
That's
doesn't
from
put red
Cuba.
onions.
Huh?
That's from Cuba.
That's from Ecuador.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
so, well, we share a lot of dishes in
Yeah.
between South America and Central America.
Yeah, my wife I think puts in yuca and papas and usually some kind of carne and
That's called sudado.
sudado. Oh, okay. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great job. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That was a good group.
All right. Yes, it was a great group. And I think that having those little, even if they're short breakouts, was just great. So
Mhm. Yeah.
I really enjoyed your presentation. I think that it would be great actually to have MCAEL do a session with you.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, just
Yeah.
and because that'll help us also support our coalition. But I am going to close the room now
All right.
and grab some lunch. So
Cool. Well, thank you.
I hope you'll
the
be able
rest
to
of the
stick around.
conference goes well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Rudy.
you.
Love partnering with you all.
Yes, definitely. All right.
All right.
Have a good
See ya.
afternoon.
You
All right.
too.
Bye-bye.